Hey everybody, hi, how's everybody doing? This is a video I kind of alluded to making for a few weeks now, since July, where I'm going to update you guys on what's going on with GMG, what's going on with the studio, and what's going on with me. You might have noticed I have not been posting a lot of content, or I've been posting content. I mean, I still post like 5 days a week, but I haven't been consistently doing certain things on the paint table, like digging into like new indie stuff. I'm doing a lot of solo recording and just trying to kind of like stay on top of still making content, especially for my patrons who are especially interested in things like indie games and other production games and games that aren't very heavily covered. And that's because, yeah, the studio's not doing great. The studio has been in decline since the pandemic, and I've been trying to figure out how to, change things. I've been doing the same thing for 8 years. I never intended to do this. About 8 years ago, for those of you who are new to the channel, I ran a crowdfund to buy a camera. It ended up that the crowdfund, the people who added to the crowdfund wanted me to open a studio. I opened a studio. And for 8 years, basically, I've had half of the space of the studio. I've had a tenant in the warehouse space, in this warehouse, in this office park, and they have basically allowed me to do this over the last 8 years through the pandemic and all that stuff. Now I'm in a weird place because there are two things that I do. I make content for my patrons, and my patrons don't really get anything except for that content. They don't get a lot of patron exclusive things. I've dabbled in that, but the space I'm in is too small to make all the things I want to make. I have to kind of like redress this one room that we're standing in right now, which is the small studio space. Anyone who's been here can attest to the fact that I get a lot of work done in this very tiny, I would say it's probably 14 by 10 recording space. So I'm kind of pulled between two things. There is the YouTube thing that I post on, which generates ad revenue, and that encourages me to make like mainstream content. I have relationships with mainstream, miniature game companies. And then there's the patrons. There's about 400 of them. They're incredible. They've basically allowed me to survive the pandemic, raise my kids to almost, a cat's about to turn 10 over the last 8 years. And survive basically as a single parent doing just something that makes me happy. I also, of course, write books and do all kinds of other things. But the times are hard. Like, this is not an easy time to live in. Cost of everything's going up. And I don't do a lot of individual content for the Patreon that's just for them. So basically 400 people are paying for everybody else to watch everything I make. So I had to have a big, long think about that. And the reason this has kind of come to a head, I'd already been kind of thinking about it, is the Transport Canada, which is our Ministry of Transport, is twinning the Niagara Skyway, which is above me right now. There's a huge overpass that goes over the canal system here in Southern Ontario, and they eminently domained my tenant out of their business. So I got a letter at the beginning of July basically saying, peace, we're out. The government just paid us to go away. And that's it. I have no tenant. They just up and left all of a sudden. And so I have a giant hole in my budget that was basically allowing this to kind of break even. And if you've been noticing, I've been selling miniatures and trying to clean up the studio, which, to be fair, had to happen anyway, because I have so much stuff I could be working on and no space to store all the stuff that I've already built and painted to kind of float this along for the next few months. So I always wanted to make this to 10 years if I could. I'm going to try to make this to 10 years, and I'm going to take this as an opportunity. I have a whole bunch of new space, a huge space. The problem is that space is not fit to recording because it's a warehouse. So I have to frame out an actual studio floor. I have to create storage and like organization for everything that's in here because this place has been a disaster for a while. And then I need to repurpose the room I'm in now, the office space and everything else to be more fit for what I want to make in the future. I want to make different things because watching what I make and how people respond to it, there's two things that I've really noticed. One, my patrons love the things that I want to do anyway, which is unearthing games from the past 3 decades, restoring them to proper order, and bring in my incredible group of friends with their incredible personalities and enjoying them, and you guys get to see it basically maybe for the first time. creating content for indie games like The Last War. You guys are really enjoying 5 Leagues from the Borderlands, which I was super surprised by in the narrative that's coming out of it. Bring back things like Gorka Morka or First Edition Space Hulk. Like, nobody else makes that content, right? So it's, I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Not that nobody else makes that content, but it's a specific kind of content that the vast majority of people on the internet aren't interested in, but my patrons really are. And so I should be making that for them. They're the ones paying for everybody else to watch this stuff. And it's also the stuff that makes me happy. So I don't actually know what it looks like yet, but my plan is, and I've already invested a bunch of money into doing it, I'm going to renovate this whole space. This whole space is going to look different in 6 months. I'm going to create a podcasting studio in here where we can do video production, podcasts, board games, RPGs. It'll always be set up so we can just roll in here and record that kind of stuff. I'm gonna make an actual like office in the office space where I can sit down and edit and do a bunch of things I probably should have done a long time ago. And then the warehouse space is gonna be an actual like manufacturing production studio for creating everything I use to make videos. And then part of it is gonna get framed out into being a recording studio. But that requires a bunch of work. I basically have to make a room inside a giant room with acoustic baffling, right, so that it doesn't bounce the echo everywhere, and then make it look nice inside what's basically a huge warehouse space. So the last month has been me trying to do this without A, running a crowdfund, because I hate the idea of doing that. I don't want to do that. And B, getting this into something that's more fit to get me making things again. I need to get out from under all the projects I have and all the stuff that's accumulated here over the last like 8 years and create a fit for purpose space where I can make things again. So here we are. We are 15 months out, 16 months out from 10 years, from me doing this for 10 years. I started this in January of 2015. January 1st, 2015, I registered Guerrilla Miniature Games on YouTube. And I'm gonna try and go the distance. I'm gonna walk you through right now and show you guys what's actually been going on so you guys can see it. And this is something I don't do all the time, but basically here's a peek behind the camera. So this room's gonna look very different all of a sudden, basically because I've emptied a lot of it out. So you can see this is not a very big room. And I've already started emptying all the shelving units. We have taken down a whole bunch of things. But most importantly, and this is, I'm so gross right now because I've just been doing carpentry all day. I've started to clean out all this and organize it. This was the office space that we were in for years and years. I want my hat back and I want my coffee. I've decided I want both these things right now. Yeah, my sweat's gonna get in my eyes otherwise. I want to fix this into a proper office space, which means I need to finish cleaning it out, organizing everything that's in here, all the books and stuff like that, repaint it, put office furniture into it, put desks into it. I've been cruising all the marketplace things. And then this is a door that you guys have never seen open, but it's existed the whole time. And this is the door to the warehouse space. So I've already put a bunch of time and effort into this. I have built rolling warehouse racking on casters, basically to organize everything that's in here. But you can hear just from the change in my voice that this is not an appropriate space to record in. So today I'm halfway through building another big rack to get all of this stuff, which is like mostly unbuilt miniatures, all these box sets, all this stuff up off the ground, and turn this space into something that's usable. It's already been really good. I got to spend a bunch of my summer with my kids. I built this right here. I basically relocated like our little our little basement like TV area to the studio so they could hang out with me while I was working. I put a little kitchenette in here so I could make them snacks and they could eat. I could drink cold drinks whenever I wanted to. And I've got a bunch of this work done already. So the organization part's already happened. The cleaning out of this office space and getting it all reorganized has already happened. You can see I've sold a ton of models, but I have a ton more I need to sell. And I've had some great friends come in and help. I haven't actually really, this is the moment that most of my friends too are gonna find out about this. I haven't actually really talked about this with most of them. I think Jay and Jordan are really the only ones that know, and Chris. And now you guys, everybody else. So I'm sure a bunch of you are gonna be like, poor you. You have problems, but everybody's got problems. And a bunch of you are gonna be, well, how can I help? For the foreseeable future, if you want to help, you can jump on Patreon. That's the biggest thing, like long term. It's also going to be probably the most important thing long term. I'm going to create more Patreon tiers in the future. One of the things I really want to do is create a Patreon producer tier, which is, the idea of a Patreon producer tier is, it's like patrons steering what they want to make. I'm going to stop guessing what people want me to make. And the goal there would be like the quarter before the quarter, I put up a big patron poll and say, here's 10 things I have like the resources and the desire to make. Pick 3 of them, and there'll be a week every month that's just on Patreon. That's the stuff you guys want. Maybe I'll do the Monday will be for everybody, like a Let's Play, and then 4 more episodes after that where we do like a big production and we do like a, hey, here's an old boxed game. Here's, I don't know, brand new indie game. Here's X, Y, Z. I'd love to put this in the menu and you guys vote on it. If it's something you want to see, then we make it. I want to do a patrons only week where it's just me doing like an indie game, like a passion project. You know what I mean? Like me and Chris haven't come back to Rogue Trader or Second Edition 40K because I've just been so overwhelmed with all of the stuff that's got to get made that I've stopped making things that make me happy. And that is, and like I'm buried under things. I didn't have the space or the resources to make stuff. So being able to breathe again. And then I want to make more stuff that's just fun, because half of the comments on our videos are things like, hey, I really like, I spit my coffee out when you guys referenced this movie from the 80s. Like, I want to make the kind of content for Patreon, not just for YouTube. It's just like me and Jay watching a movie, you know, like, and commenting on a movie or deconstructing something, because you guys seem to love that. And I love making that kind of stuff. Or finally play D&D on camera. Like, there's a million things that we stopped and started because I've been using this same like 14, maybe, I can't eyeball this distance. I think it's maybe 14 by 16 or 14 by 18 room for everything for 8 years, and you can't dress it up and make it different all the time. So yeah, so if I've been quiet or like shut down, that's because I've been kind of struggling the last 2 months. I'm trying to figure out where this is going to go. I made the decision I'm going to make a go of it. It's what's best for my kids, because obviously it lets me still be flexible and have a great job that's just me making things that supports them both. I think it's great for my mental health because I get to work on things that make me happy when they make me happy. And I hope you guys continue enjoying the content. So this is it. This is basically me updating you guys on what's been going on behind the scenes. I'm basically powered by coffee at this point and covered in sawdust and pencil shavings. Making that, and then I'm gonna have to frame out that studio. And I'm taking a chance that you guys still like this content and want me to make more better content. I can upgrade so much of what I do if I have more space. I can do things like top-down cameras, having like the infrastructure of like local computers here that I can record directly to, getting this place wired. This place isn't even wired with internet, right? So I could stream from here, you know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of things I can do if this grows, and if you guys like the content. Restructuring the Patreon I think is important at this point, because I think it's not, we've reached the point where it's not super fair that 400 people, and I have 115,000 subscribers or something like that. I don't really pay attention to how many subscribers I have YouTube, to be honest with you. They pay for everybody else to watch everything and don't get anything exclusively for them or a ton of say into what's getting made. And I think that has to change. I think we're at a crossroads, especially coming up on 10 years, where this just needs to evolve, and I needed a push. So it's a scary, dangerous push, because it's basically me like, I'm gonna sell a whole bunch of what's here and painted stuff to like a bunch of my resources I'm gonna liquidate, which needed to happen, like again, to try and get through to the other side of this place is making more different, interesting content. And a lot of people forget it's just me. Like this is just me by myself doing all this. And my friends help me out when they can, but nobody gets paid except me. Like, it's just a bunch of volunteers. I have the most incredible group of friends, the most incredible talented people. I'm sorry this, for a lot of you, it's the first time you're hearing about this. But I tend to, when I have like problems, just shut down, try and deal with it all myself. And one of them today, Jay actually was like, why haven't you told anybody this is happening? So I made a video. So thanks for listening, and we'll see how this goes. Bye, everybody.